Into the Social Impact Show with Samm Marshall, where we spotlight changemakers and their inspiring journeys.
You're listening to the Social Impact Show with me, Samm Marshall, and I don't know if you know this, but September is International Deaf Awareness Month, and this week we're highlighting the importance of listening in every sense of the word. Up to 6,000 babies are born with permanent hearing loss in South Africa every year, yet too many go undiagnosed at birth, missing a critical window for support. Now, today I'm joined by Jessica McGuire, who's the director and founder of Hope Here, and as part of the Hold My Hand community. Jessica and her team are driving awareness and change through campaigns like Little Ears, Big Potential, and are passionate about universal newborn hearing screening, early intervention, and giving every child the chance to connect with the world. Jessica, good morning and thanks for joining us.
Oh, thanks very much for having me.
Okay, let's talk about the fact that it is International Deaf Awareness Month, the big think from your organization, and how you guys are reflecting on this month and the work that you do as an organization.
Well, Sam, my background is that I'm actually also an ENT specialist, and I worked at Red Cross Children's Hospital for 6 years. And in my position during that time, I became aware of the massive inequalities that mothers who have children with either hearing loss or learning problems face. And it made me realize that it was a system problem, and that although we have limited resources, we're not using the resources adequately to enable parents and empower them to help their children to the best of their abilities. And so we're trying to tackle this from sort of a systems perspective and try and empower parents to navigate the complicated health and education systems, identify children with hearing loss early, because your senses are the first connection that a baby has with the world. So if we are able to identify children who have hearing loss within the first 6 months of life, and this has nothing to do with whether they're going to be children who sign or children who are verbal communicators, it has to do with brain growth. So if we can identify these children early, then their language grows appropriate to their age, and a lot of people use language in the first couple of years as almost like a proxy for brain development. Yeah. So then we know that those babies' brains are growing appropriately during that time. And if you miss it, then it's very difficult for those babies to catch up. So we've started a universal newborn screening program at Mowbray Maternity Hospital in Cape Town, and we've screened 15,000 babies today.
Wow.
And it's a completely
15,000
service.
Wow.
Yes. But there are system challenges, and I mean, and it's exciting and it's frustrating, but so we've identified challenges in the system and challenges that make it difficult for parents to follow up, because there's no point in screening unless you can diagnose, follow every baby that fails their initial screen to diagnosis, whether that is that they have a hearing loss or that we can confirm that they're able to hear when they're born.
Jessica, please educate me, because I, as a parent, when my children were born, and I want to kind of connect the dots, and I'm asking maybe indirectly that, are all parents not privy to this service? Because when my children were born at the various hospitals, I think it was an audiologist who came around and did the hearing tests, right? And there was a couple of tests that were done before I was discharged with any one of my children, and I'm not understanding, is that not the process where you potentially pick up whether a child has a hearing deficiency or there is a potential challenge coming?
It is. That is exactly what it is. And it may be done by an audiologist, but it may also be done by a community health worker who is supervised by an audiologist. And in some respects, that makes it much more affordable and available to the wider public. The trouble is that it's not protocolized.
Okay.
And a lot of the time, it's an opt-in service. So, there's only one private hospital group that offers it as part of their maternity package. The other ones, the audiologists have the right to come to the hospital and offer it to the parents.
Yes.
And then they'll bill the medical aid. But in government hospitals, the babies are not receiving universal newborn hearing screening. Some of the hospitals are doing high-risk screening, which is for babies who, who had an ICU stay for 5 days, or when they were born, they didn't cry well, and so you worried that maybe they didn't breathe well around birth. So they identified babies who maybe had difficult circumstances surrounding their birth that might place them at a higher risk of having hearing loss, and then they offer it to those babies. But 50% of babies who are born deaf are not high-risk babies, and so we're missing half of them.
And that I assume is where they fall through the cracks, is because they're not screened in a particular kind of way. But how would you like us, Jessica, to reflect then on Deaf Awareness Month? From your perspective, what do we now need to do to prioritize this? Because that's a staggering number. 6,000 babies are born every year with hearing loss. And in many cases, it's undiagnosed. And in many cases, there could be a set of interventions put in place to reverse that. And so how would you like us to reflect on this month?
So I think, first of all, parents know their babies the best. When someone comes around and offers hearing, so I mean, if we look at it from a parent perspective, a healthcare perspective, and then we look at it from a community perspective. So first of all, the parents must trust their gut. If somebody offers you newborn hearing screening, I would strongly advise that you take them up on that offer. If you weren't offered newborn hearing screening and you're worried about your baby's hearing, you need to access health services, and we actually have a website. So if parents don't know where to go, we'll try and plug them into the service wherever they are, because it is daunting. And if you're worried about that, you might be worried about a lot of other things. So I'm happy to give you my website address after
please.
the show, and you're welcome to share it with anyone, because we truly are passionate about this, and we don't want those babies to go undiagnosed. So parents must trust themselves, and they must, realize that you can't. The reason why there is newborn screening is because it's difficult to diagnose just by looking at a baby.
Yeah.
And from a healthcare perspective, the pediatricians are very good at advocating for change, and they are massive allies in this campaign to improve early identification. And also, obstetricians need to recommend hearing screening for the babies, to the mums for their babies when they are born. And then from a societal perspective, we need to start looking at how we can make this a sustainable and affordable solution, because it has massive cost implications down the line. If these children are getting the brain growth that they need when they're early, then they're going to have better educational outcomes and learning potentials later on.
Yeah, and I love the work of your organization and how you guys think of the challenges that some of us don't. Talk to me a little bit about the collaboration. There's an entire community of Hold My Hand, which is I think it's like-minded organizations, institutions, and people that are collaborating. How have you seen that level of collaboration making an impact?
I mean, it's phenomenal what Hold My Hand have done. They've brought together to the table all the stakeholders for early childhood development as a broad umbrella term, but then they've also, segregated the groups into the various like specialties, and the part that I'm part of is the hearing, and the thing is that there are so many people that are doing good work, but they're working in silos, and the fragmentation is a massive problem to actually, because you don't want to, everything is hard. You don't want to duplicate the work, and so by bringing everyone to the table, we can share our expertise. We are able to work together toward a common goal, and also because it's people from all different institutions. It's very important that that Hold My Hand sort of navigates the complicated relationships that always arise with people.
Yeah.
And keep reminding everybody that, it really is about the children. It really is about improving access to the help that parents need, and eventually improving educational outcomes and learning.
Yeah.
And I don't think you can do that without having sort of let's call them a mothership who sort of keeps everybody's eye on the ball.
Yeah. I mean, look, between the work that you do as an organization, the community you're involved in, the campaign Little Ears, Big Potential, it's all at the end of the day about inclusivity, about equal access. It's about fair and timely interventions. What does it look like in practice? The impact on family, and especially because so many of us who don't have access to resources use the public health system, that there is a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of moving parts. How do you, as you think of the solutions, Jessica, how do we kind of raise the priority of this slightly higher than where it is at the moment? Obviously, it is top priority for you as an organization, but some of the players that you engage with, that you interact with, it might not be a priority for them. So how have you guys problem solved or workshopped the priority factor here?
So I think it is about raising awareness, which is what the campaign's all about. But then it's also about educating people on how severe the problem is. And, if you look at South Africa, the one thing that most people have children who they want the best for.
100%.
And that's across the board. If you have, as a child, the biggest lottery in life is who you're born to. So if you have a mother who has means and who just wants the best for you and adores you and loves you, that's first prize. But if you have a mom who adores you and loves you, and may not have the financial means to access everything that people with means have, that should not be a rate-limiting step for children. And I think, and there are ways, and that's what's been very uplifting for me, joining the Hold My Hand campaign, is that you see that there are outstanding institutions who are trying to tackle this problem. But we need, and I truly do feel that, it's, our children are everybody's concern. And a sustainable solution is likely always going to be in corporate social investment that makes something sustainable, but that can work in the public system, so that people who access the public system have equal access to all the things that a child who's born to a parent who has the means has.
Yeah. And
I also think, I'm sorry I'm interrupting you, but I also think, everything has to be data driven, because data doesn't lie. If you are doing something and you're not monitoring everything that you're doing, you don't know what your outcomes are. And 100. So research and data and feedback, it's got to be a comprehensive system that addresses the change, and then also people see the return on their investment, which is rewarding. Nobody wants to start investing in something that's just a bottomless pit.
Yeah, I agree. And as we wrap this conversation, Jessica, I want you to share a positive story. I mean, the fact that you've already looked at 15,000 sets of ears is super, super impressive. But maybe a story that really is hit home for you in terms of just the work that you do and the success that you have as an organization.
Well, probably the one that is I'm busy working on at the moment is a little girl who was not born at Mobe Maternity Hospital, but whose mother contacted me when she turned 1 because she was worried that the little girl couldn't hear. And then it highlighted the system challenges that these mothers face. And we managed to get her hearing screening, but we weren't able to help her get into the system to get a diagnosis. And we've had, because of some of the other work we've done, we were able to get the mother to go to a private audiologist to get her diagnostic services. And we're able to now, move on this child and see how we can help her the best that we can. But at the same time, we are able to now go back to the stakeholders and say, our referral pathways aren't working. We need to change this. We can't have other children falling through the cracks. And that's really the role we want to play is that we want to highlight the system challenges because everybody's trying their hardest.
Yeah.
But there are ways to make it better.
Yeah, I like that. Jessica, where can people get hold of your organization, institution, and where can they follow your journey?
So we have an Instagram account, but probably the best way to get hold of us is through our website, and it's hope-hear.org.
Oh, as simple as that. Jessica McGuire, love your work. Thank you very much for making the time to talk to us, and we really appreciate you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me on air. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, so if you didn't know, this month is International Deaf Awareness Month, and we're talking about the importance of listening. Some of us who are married, I don't want to turn this into a silly statement, but some of us opt not to listen to our partners. But anyway, it's the importance of listening in every sense of the word. As if you didn't know, up to 6,000 babies are born with permanent hearing loss in South Africa every year, and too many go undiagnosed. And Jessica McGuire and her team at Hope Here, she's the director and founder, they've been part of this Hold My Hand community, and they're driving awareness, and they, in actual fact, not just driving awareness, they are making physical change through their campaigns like Little Ears, Big Potential. And they are passionate about universal newborn hearing screening, early intervention, and giving every child a chance to connect with the world. And so it's a little bit that we're doing is to highlight the work of people like Jessica and how they see the role that they play in changing our immediate environments. We're literally 2 minutes away from the top of the hour news. It's the only positive news in the country. And my bestie, I'm looking at her. She's got a big smile. She'll tell you all the good news that's happening in South Africa and the world.
Feel 919. From Bryanston to Good Beats and Randburn to catchy rhythms. Feel 919.